Imagine standing at the top of a peak which no human being has ever touched. The air is thin, the cold is biting, and the silence deafening. Below there is nothing but a sea of clouds, and above the endless blue horizon. That's Gupt Parvat, a virgin peak in the Indian Himalayas. Our team became the first in the world to climb this peak and reach the summit of this peak. Well, the journey was challenging all throughout. To reach the base camp itself was unimaginable because there was no route. So every step was stepping into that unknown. And when we reached the base camp, like when we were about to reach the base camp, we had to camp into an intermediate camp, and this was like, imagine you're camping somewhere and just opposite side this is happening, and it is not happening one off, but it is happening 24/7. Once upon a time, probably this slope was covered with snow, but today that snow has disappeared and the mountain is disintegrating. 32 porters left their luggages and ran off, blaming us that you told a lie. You told that till base camp is a trekking, but this is so dangerous, this is a climb. And from the previous camp, we had to bring 800 kgs of load by ourselves and delayed our expedition by another 6 days. It didn't end there. When we went to the proposed base camp, which later on became our advanced camp, so since there was no human being had gone before, no expeditions has happened, there was no reports. So all we had to rely was on these topographic maps. And when we were seeing those maps, we identified a place where our base camp should be, and that was a snowfield. And when we went there, we were struggling to find where is the snow? Where are the glaciers? Unknowingly, like these maps were actually created in the 60s and 70s. Over this last some decades, the glaciers has retreated. The impact of climate change had happened so much behind our eyes, and it opened up a sense of purpose for me that we should talk about climate change and we should advocate that in our own capacities. But we are talking about now these uncharted territories, not only on the mountains, but deep within in our life. And these mountains we have to preserve, and I wouldn't have any clue unless we pushed ourselves to go and explore a mountain like this, to go beyond our comfort zone. So I am Satyarup Siddhanta, and I have climbed the highest mountains and the highest volcanoes of all the 7 continents. And I hold a Guinness record for being the youngest in the world, and I am the first from India to do so. The journey so far has been very exciting. I mean, from a kid who couldn't even run 100 meters without the aid of inhaler, what more can I ask? This was the top of Gupt Parvat. But when we see around, you can see that Gupt Parvat is not just one place, it's the essence of trying to explore the unknown. So these are the different places. So it is not only about climbing the mountains, but when we go to these places, we interact with different cultures, different people, different environment, and this broadens our horizon. Even that is like stepping out of something to get something more. So that quest, I think it is very addictive, and that makes me go to the mountains again and again. Because when we go to these mountains, you cannot pretend anymore. There is no place for pretense, because it strips you out from all the artificial things, and what remains is the raw you, which probably you might not have faced in the mirror for a long time. So when we go to these mountains, when we see ourselves, that is the time when transformative time appears, and it helps us to look deep within and see what needs to be changed. What are we truly running for? Are we trying to become someone that the society wants us to be, or are we following our passion? Let me take you through another journey. This was in 2023. This is Mount Brahma. This mountain was climbed only 4 times in the history. Only 3 times it was documented. There was no pictures of Mount Brahma, because some of the team members who climbed Mount Brahma, while coming back, they were dead, and some couldn't take pictures. For the last 43 years, there was no climb for this mountain. We knew that we are attempting something which has a high probability of not succeeding. But we knew that if we attempt this, at least we'll learn something. More importantly, if you ask now, we will confess that we were scared as well. We were scared because this mountain was termed almost like unclimbable. And we are trying to do something impossible, like trying to climb an unclimbable peak. But when we were going up, the climate change also helped us, because when we were at 5,000 meters, 5,000 plus meters, there was heavy rains for 3-4 days. We thought our expedition is over. And we were shocked that how come at 5,000 meters we are getting rain? Again, coming back to the climate change, probably that was the reason why this mountain became unclimbable, because rocks were falling and very dangerous route. But because of that rain, we were lucky to get a snow cover on the top, and the falling rocks stopped, and we could pursue. Now, when we were there, we realized that it was getting impossible to go through the normal documented route. There we stand, that should we go and try another route which looked evident, but we were not sure. There were a lot of unknown. Should we go ahead? The weathers were getting bad. It was cold. It was uncertain. But we chose to step into the unknown. And as we went ahead, we saw different views of the mountains. Some were scary, some were beautiful. But in the end, when we were almost, after the whole night, when we reached to the top, like to the top ridge, suddenly there was a huge blizzard that has come, and we couldn't even see 1 foot. We couldn't see each other, and it was like white darkness. And we thought that probably that is the summit, because according to the reports that we have read, they said that just after this is the summit, and our GPS was showing that we were just still 140 meters below the summit. And where is the summit? And that moment, our team got scattered, and some of the team members went ahead, and then one of our Sherpa friend, he fell down 70 meters, breaking a cornice. One side was a avalanche zone, the other side was a fall, and there was a cornice. He stepped on it, and the entire thing broke, and nobody knew that he fell down, because we couldn't see, we couldn't hear. It was blizzard. Only when we got some SOS message that the Tenzing fell down, we got so scared. He fell down. While falling down, and he was tied to a rope, so he dragged the rope and went down. The whole skin behind his back was peeled off. One side became paralysis, temporary paralysis, and the glass went off. He became snowblind. Yet his helmet didn't come off, and he could talk to in the radio and say that I need help. And we saw a miraculous rescue and an untold survival story. But what happened after that was we were so scared. So we had to abort that expedition then and there itself because human life was more important. We came down, our team doctor stabilized him, and then we waited for him to gain back the vision. So we thought, we have one more day. Why not give it another try? And that was the moment when we were fighting the demons of our mind and then stepping towards that unknown again. And eventually we had to cross, and this was a section where the cornice broke and he fell down. And the next day when we reached there was we were greeted with absolute best weather that is possible. And still from here it was 1.5 hours, and finally we could reach to the top of Mount Brahma, and we created history. We became the first Indian team to reach there. But at that moment, I got this realization that fear is not our enemy. Maybe it is a pointer to the places where we need to grow. It is kind of forcing us to grow. And fear is something which can cripple you. And you might say that, oh, this is so dangerous and I should not go. Whereas the same fear can act as that compass, and you can focus more, and you can take calculated risk, and you can still go ahead, and it can propel you. But the choice remains on you, whether you want to use that fear towards your side or whether you want to use the fear as your enemy. And this was a beautiful journey of self-discovery, which we could achieve only by pushing our limits, going beyond the obvious, and trying to step into the unknown. And we had situations where we had to cross places which were like impossible. We climbed up, sometimes we faltered, but again the mountains taught me that failure is not actually a failure, but we learn from the failures. As long as you can learn and you can get up one more time, there is no failure. And then we get up and again we go ahead in our pursuit. So this helps us to elevate our thoughts, to become a better human being, to to improve ourselves from what we were yesterday. How can we make ourselves a better version of us? And it is only when you keep challenging your status quo. Now, if you are doing whatever you are doing every day, when will you challenge the status quo? But when we go to these places which forces us to go out of our comfort zone, the real growth happens. And this growth sometimes is in your mind, and sometimes it manifests when you summit a mountain. But at the end, there is always a rainbow, no matter what. No matter you grow, no matter you stagnate, the opportunities are always there. It's just how you perceive them. When are you taking that one step towards that unknown? When you take that one step, you will see that all the self-talks that are not allowing you to do whatever you want to do, all the beliefs, the self-doubts, they will all vanish. And there I realized that mental strength is very important than physical strength. I would say that both are important, and we sometimes discount on the mental strength. And in this journey, I realized mental strength are just a strong beliefs, so as the mental weakness. So I believed all throughout my life in my childhood that I can never get rid of asthma. I can never do things like a normal person could do. That belief system was so strong, it took a lot of time to break. Then I inculcated another belief system where I knew that I can break all the boundaries and I can achieve everything. So see, a shift in the belief system helped me to change the attitude towards life. And today, I am so happy that with so limited resources and with whatever obstacles that has been thrown at me, I could use them as a stepping stone. And all these unknown all this stepping into the unknown has made me the person I am. And I urge you to find out that whether you are taking a new career, or whether you are taking you are appearing for an exam, or whatever you are doing, look for what story are you telling to yourself. What are your excuses? Are you going to take that step, or are you not? The answer and the choice lies with you. Thank you so much.